What's going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week, starting over in Marvel with X Factor issue number 4. We have Mark Russell on this book and Quinn on the art, and it's kind of more of the same. If you like Mark Russell's satire that he brings to every single one of his comics, you're gonna like this one a whole lot. The X Factor team, put together by a social media corporation, are going on all these really weird missions. They're being monitored. They're going for the likes. They're going for the subscribes. Of course, it's just kind of playing on the fact that social media is like ruining everything and corporations run the world. But now we have this X Factor team in the middle of all this, so we're dealing with all of that. Havoc is actually the leader of this team right here, and he's having to deal with this like constantly rotating cast of characters from mission to mission. We had the granny who has immortality featured in the previous issue. She's kind of sitting out in this one, but they're going to the center of the earth. They're trying to rescue some scientists, and again, they're doing it for the clicks, the likes, the subscribes, things like that. But they have real threats they have to overcome, and a lot of these weird team dynamics that keep shifting from mission to mission. So I will say that if you like Mark Russell's satire and you want to be in the X world, this is like the best of both worlds, I would say. There's not a whole lot of high stakes, like it's not like bleeding into the other X books right now, but it's still fun, it's interesting, it's got a lot of humor in there. There's characters you don't normally see and some new ones, so you might want to check it out. If you're into the new X books, they're not quite doing it for you, check out X Factor. You might like it. Let me know if you read it. Next up is Aliens vs. Avengers. We have Hickman and Rubik on this one, issue number 2. So issue number 1 came out a couple of months ago. We were all really disappointed to see that issue number 2 was going to take so long to come out. Well, here it is. So what was it all about? This is a world that was planted with xenomorphs, right? So we have eggs everywhere, completely taking over the world. Most of the humans have been taken out. There's only a handful of them left. Now they're A players, and so we get to see what the world is like with just them around. If you did read issue number 1, the very end of that issue had some pretty shocking things, 2 of them to be exact. We don't really follow up on one in particular, and I'm not going to spoil it for you just in case you haven't read it and you want to catch up, because it's a pretty cool thing. They didn't really pay that off inside of this issue, but I will say that this issue here continues to expand like the story about how the xenomorphs are being transported from planet to planet, like how long this has been going on, who's responsible for it. But it also then focuses towards the end of the issue more on our heroes. What's our plan? How are we going to save Earth? Where should we go? Who's still out there? Those kinds of questions. And there's some pretty cool like sacrificial plays at the end of this issue to like ensure the safety of others. Handled really, really well. So I will say the art continues to be really strong in this book. Like Rubik's doing an amazing job on the interiors in here. And it's just a book that I find myself really enjoying. And so Hickman's been putting out a lot of books lately, and a lot of them don't feel Hickman-esque, right? This one's the closest one I've read in a while besides Gods, I would say. But Aliens vs. Avengers issue number 2, not a bad read. Let me know if you read it though, down below. All right, next up from Marvel is Dennis Camp's Ultimates issue number 6. Really interesting issue. Big battle scene between our Ultimates team and Hulk right here, our Bruce Banner character, who's on the Makers Council in this series right here. So again, it's the full Ultimates team taking on him and his forces. We get transported to a mystical land in the Marvel Universe that we've seen somewhat recently in the MCU in particular. But this is a great issue showing off a lot of the power sets of the villains. We get introduced to like basically Hulk's council right here. And of course we get this just giant showdown. You know, they've been building up their ranks for quite some time trying to take out the forces at B. And so again, this is just an issue that is completely chock full of action, and things do not go the way that we hoped for our heroes inside of here. But despite all of that, the heroes find a way out of this situation, but man, they are beat to hell in here. And there's some potentially some long-lasting side effects of this battle, maybe some casualties and whatnot. So we're going to be figuring this out some more as we go on. But Ultimates issue number 6, the most action-packed issue, I think, for sure. Really interesting, non-stop action. Check this one out if you haven't yet. All right, one of the biggest, most anticipated books probably on most people's list, Absolute Superman issue number 1. Jason Aaron on this one, and I can't help but compare this book to the other Absolute titles that have been out so far. I will say this one thematically and like story-wise is more like Absolute Batman than it is Wonder Woman. And the reason I say that is because it's less focused on the Superman character itself, and it's more focused around the world around the character. This book spends a lot of time over in Krypton, like trying to reestablish that world, how it fell apart, the people that were at play, what role his father played, what role the people that were against him played, things like that. It also spends a lot of time on like the hierarchy of the people, like these are the servants, these are the upper people and whatnot. I mean, we basically get to see the early stages of the destruction of Krypton inside of here. So it's basically retelling that entire story. Now, again, we don't really see a whole lot of Superman inside this book. We follow these miners that are on Earth right now in some third world country. They are dominated by these peacemaker type people right here. You know, all they want is output, right? They don't care about the harsh conditions that these workers are living in. But every time that these miners are going into the mines, like everything is mined, the diamonds are all there, it's all ready to be transported. And we later find out that maybe it's our Superman character like coming in trying to like help them because he couldn't help his own planet. His father was in this kind of a field to begin with. So he has some familiarity with it. So he's trying his best to like intervene without being noticed. And eventually he gets on the radar of some interesting people that are aware of his power set and try to take him down. And that's when the book really cranks up, probably around that like 3/4 mark. I would say there's a lot of world building inside this book. So, you know, it's not so much focused on the Superman character himself. It's focused on where he is and some of the small good deeds he's doing for people. And it takes a while for him to really like come out of his shell and show us some like really cool stuff. So it was an ease into all of this, I would say. And then, you know, not only that, but it also shows us what a potential future villain would be inside the series. So that was pretty cool. And then also I wouldn't doubt that in future issues, we're going to be exploring a little bit more about Krypton and like his early life there and how he left the planet or was forced to leave the planet and came to Earth. So there's a lot more we can uncover, obviously, inside this book. But absolute Superman, I would still say Wonder Woman's my favorite one, probably followed by Batman and then Superman. But Jason Aaron's on this. Let me know if you read it down below. All right, next up is Batman 154 from Chip Zdarsky. So we have a dead mayor on the scene. Batman is in investigation mode. We have Bullock in here. Of course, we have Jim Gordon doing Jim Gordon stuff. And we have this landscape in Gotham City right now where, you know, we're starting to gain control again. But we have the Riddler doing some Riddler stuff. He's actually gone somewhat legitimate, but he's got some really powerful, shady people at his side right now. And so Batman's trying to like understand that whole dynamic right there. It's like, of course, he's a bad guy, right? But he's like playing by the rules, so to speak, and so we're trying to figure all this out. A lot of people have a motive for taking the mayor out, so we're trying to uncover all that, piece the clues together. Who are the new people in town? Why would they want him out? And so we're just trying to figure all this out. We also have this new Cape Crusader who's on Vandal Savage's side, and so he's doing a lot of things like in the public eye to save the day, kind of put Batman in the shadow a little bit, and so that's going to be an interesting dynamic to uncover. We also have this deep, dark secret in the Wayne family that we're trying to uncover as well. Like, is it true? There's lots of rumors out there inside this book. I'll let you read that to figure it out. So we have a lot of things going on inside this run right now. It's more of a detective book. It's more of a secrets kind of a book. Secret society that's been rooted in Gotham's history is starting to unveil itself again. So a lot of things are building inside this issue, and I'm wondering what's going to stay around in time for the new creative team when they come on. So it's going to be interesting to see. Chip is still doing some cool things in this run. Let me know if you're enjoying it down below. All right, next up from DC is Batgirl. We have issue number 1 right here. So we have Tate Brownell on this one, and we have Miyazawa on the art. And Cassandra is really my favorite Batgirl, just because of how brutal and ruthless and like how powerful she is, right? She's like the most trained. Her mother was an assassin. That's what this book is all about inside here. So if you don't know a lot about her history, like myself, you might dig this one because it's all focusing on family dynamics. Mom is here. She's kind of ignored her for a long time, trained her as an assassin. There's moments where they wanted to kill each other growing up, things like that. She's back in town. We don't exactly know why, but we do explore that inside this book. Of course, the secret society is out to ruin their lives, kill their family. They eventually have to team up and take these forces on. Again, it's just like a great excuse to get to know the character a little bit more about her origins, things like that. Lots of action in here as well. So I thought I'd just kind of jump in, do a pulse check on this one. Batgirl issue number 1. Let me know if you read it down below. All right, last book from DC is JSA issue number 1, a series, a team that I have no experience with whatsoever, but Jeff Lemire is on this one, so I thought I would check it out, see what I can glean from it. And I will say that it was cool to see the team dynamics, the different people fighting it out, teaming up, taking on some threats and whatnot, but I will say that I am completely lost on the team dynamics, the characters, who hates who, why they hate them, why they can't work together anymore, the lineage of this team, the different members that have come and gone on from here. It's a team that's been around forever, many different iterations, of course, but I don't have the experience there, so a lot of things were lost on me. With that said, pretty cool interior artwork, but I will say that the majority of this book is the team kind of like arguing and sitting around and like trying to figure out what the next steps are, and this person blaming this person for not being there when they needed them, things like that. So a lot of these points were kind of lost on me to begin with, and then I feel like I jumped in halfway through a story because there's another part of the JSA team that's on this mission right now, and I was kind of lost as to what they're doing, why they're there, and what's going on. So I feel like I'm jumping into a middle of a story here with people I don't exactly know, but I'm sure that you long-term JSA fans will really appreciate this kind of a book. If you're one of those guys, let me know how you think this is going so far. If you're not, like me, and you're confused, also sound off. But I want to know your thoughts about JSA issue number 1 down below. All right, next up is the conclusion of the murder mystery Guilt Frame issue number 3. Matt Kindt on this one, 60-page giant, which is crazy. This book right here shows us the conclusion of this murder that happened in this art gallery in France. There's this whole cover-up about these diamonds and jewels and whatnot that were being hidden inside of these frames and chairs and things like that. Now, we have a huge cast of characters that are on trial at the moment. We have this detective, this local detective, interrogating every single person in the previous issue. Everybody seems to have a motive. The people closest to this person who runs the art gallery, these tourists that have come through, who have a history of like solving crimes and things like that. In this issue here, we finally get to see who was responsible for these murders, and it's not without its twists and turns, of course. So if you're into murder mystery kinds of comic books, if you like those kinds of stories, if you like stories that have a little bit of twist at the end, like they should in these kinds of cases, I think you're really going to dig this. Aside from that, Matt Kindt's doing it. Art is really crazy. The dialogue and everything and the characterizations are really fun. So if you're into his style in general, you're going to dig this book as well. So $9.99, 60 pages each, 3 issues, highly recommended. Let me know if you read it. Next over in Titan Comics, we have Conan the Barbarian, Battle of the Blackstone, issue number 3. So in issue number 2, all of our different heroes from across the timelines have all been united now in this mysterious jungle, God knows when, and they're trying to like get the lay of the land, trying to understand who different people are. Brissa's back in the action right now, fan favorite from the Conan run, original character from Jim Zub and team. And so right now we're just trying to understand where we are, where we're going, and trying to like not kill each other in the process. Because, you know, everyone's like an alpha in this group right here. So we're following the leads, we're following the dark magic that Brissa has access to. But, of course, somebody kind of freaks out in this process, and our ranks keep getting slimmer and slimmer throughout this journey. And so, of course, there's going to be some giant battles and whatnot happening, showcasing the amazing interior artwork in this as well. And I love the pacing of this series. We had a lot of characters. We have very high stakes in here. And so every single issue just gets more and more stressful because the ranks get smaller and smaller. So, Battle of the Blackstone issue number 3, it's everything you can want and more. Let me know if you're reading it down below. All right, let's go over to Dynamite Comics with DuckTales issue number 1. Picked this up because Dynamite's had a good run right now with bringing back some of these older properties and getting me engaged. Space Ghost is a great one. We have Johnny Quest as well, and some others. So wanted to jump into DuckTales and see what's going on. So I will say this is like the most playful one, obviously. It's a DuckTales book right here. We have Huey, Louie, and Dewey in here kind of counting all their uncle's cash, and they want to go on a mission to get more money, and that's exactly what Uncle Scrooge is all about. So we go on this little journey right now where we're going around town and we're finding some artifacts and things like that, which is bringing back memories of Uncle Scrooge, and he's telling the kids all the tales, things that he had to go through to like accumulate all this wealth and all these artifacts. And I guess it's all just a big lesson for the kids that like, hey, you got to go out there and like seize the day, right? And so that's exactly what we're doing. We're teaching them some lessons. We're taking them out. We're going on adventures, things like that. But, you know, I would say DuckTales issue number 1, it didn't do a whole lot to like blow me away, but it was fun. If you have younger kids, they might enjoy this one as well. We'll see where the story goes overall. Let me know if you guys read it down below. All right, next up from Image Comics, we have Saga Chapter 70, Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan on this one. This issue is focusing on the family unit again. Squire's going through a lot of changes right now emotionally, so he's going to be sent away, and of course that creates a little bit of tension in the main family unit right here. This book does a really good job of like reminding us how tight this unit is, this family is. There's only 3 of them right now. They're still on the run. There's some shady characters that are trying to rat them out right now, sell their secrets to the highest bidders, and we see that a little bit inside of here as well. I will say that there's a little bit of a dip in maybe like overall story progression the last 15 issues or so. We're kind of in the same place right now, and I'm wondering what's going on there, but I know we have like another 30 something issues to go in the series, so I'm excited to see where it goes. Other than that, man, they do what they do best. They bring in these ancillary characters, they're making you feel for them, and they're bringing back some of the old characters as well to kind of touch base on where they are emotionally. And yeah, I really can't wait to see where some of those characters end up. So Saga still pulling on the heartstrings we had from the first 55 issues, doing a great job of bringing in new characters and touching base with some of the old ones as well. Interior artwork is just getting better and better with every single issue. So let me know if you're reading Saga down below. All right, last book we have this week was Sacrificers issue number 12. A lot of shocking things happen inside this book. A lot of climaxes and more questions, of course. We get introduced to a new god, a more primordial god in this world, and that's going to be interesting to see how they play into this entire story. I think the very end of this issue has some hints as to where we're going to go. We have Pigeon that is imbued with the power of the gods, still on his revenge mission right now, but he's actually running into some familiar characters that we haven't seen together on the same page since like issue number 1 and issue number 2. So it was really cool to see how those interactions play out because all of our characters have gone through a little journey right now and they haven't seen each other, like I said, in a long time. So that was a really cool little moment right there. But it was short-lived because we had this giant battle to go through. We had some emotional conversations between Pigeon and his family that he hasn't seen, like I said, and we have this new demon, this new god kind of like showing up at the very end and taking us into an area that we're going to be exploring more in future issues. So interior artwork continues to be amazing inside this thing, and this issue again was great because it brought a lot of our characters back together, which we haven't seen, and it's pushing us into a place where I'm just really excited to see where we end up. So Sacrificers issue number 12, hell of an issue. Let me know if you read it. All right, that's all I read this week. I hope you enjoy that. Let me know what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the comments.